Welcome to Colorful Journeys of Success. Listen to and watch our fascinating guests as they share colorful stories of success and how they help inspire. Now, here's Claire, the color wheeling lady and our host.
Welcome to Colorful Journey of Success. My name is Claire Mullen. I'm so glad that you're joining us tonight because we're going to be talking about stress. No, less stress. Dr. Jo English, she is a certified clinical nutritionist, but she is also she's a chiropractor. She specializes in this area and she helps a lot of people. She really does. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Jo English.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, this is a great topic. This is absolutely a fantastic topic. And you're the expert. You've been doing this for 35 years, right?
I have.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So we have so much to talk about, but I'll just close my mouth and let you talk.
Okay.
So if you'd like to go ahead and start, we have, how do you manage stress?
Well, managing stress,
Why is it so important?
It's a very complicated issue, and it's a very, very important subject because stress is endemic in our society. And it can lead to early death and disability. And so if it's unmanaged, but it can be managed through natural methods. And that's the message that I want to give to people, that there is help out there through different sources depending upon what it is that they need as an individual to help manage their stress so they can lead happy and productive lives. And I myself have benefited from these type of methods because I've been under a lot of stress at times as well, as we all have, and I want to share this message that there is help out there for people, and it doesn't involve drugs and it doesn't involve surgery. There are natural methods to help heal the body.
Well, I'm very impressed, and I want to hear more. I really want to hear more. So stress management is so very important, right? How do you diagnose stress, especially in the office?
Well, diagnosing stress, I have people come in and we do an evaluation. And it involves a physical examination. We do a stress assessment, if that's what they're coming in for, so we can determine more about how stress is affecting their lives. And I also
Can you give us some examples of the way you evaluate?
In terms of, well, we also
diagnose?
Well, we do the nutritional evaluation also. And that is a kind of a hands-on evaluation. We check the body, it can give us ideas about what the body needs nutritionally. And we also can do a procedure called the Ragland's test, which measures Ragland test, which is a typical medical test. It's been out there for a long time, but what it does is it measures a person's blood pressure in different positions. And that can assess the health of the adrenal glands.
Adrenaline.
Well, adrenal glands, and that is what helps us to know the status of them. And we also do a test called the Adrenal Stress Index, which is a simple test. There are 4 vials like that. And what we do is a person just collects saliva.
Interesting.
And they do it 4 times during the day. And then they just put it in the box and send it off to the lab, and then we get the results back. But I'd like to talk about the adrenal glands because I think a lot of people don't know what they are, and they're the key to stress. This is about the adrenal glands. This is where they are. Here are the kidneys, and they're right above the kidneys. They're little glands, but they're so important. They're powerhouses, and they produce stress hormones, among other things. So this is where we have those adrenal glands in the body, right above the kidneys. And these glands produce 2 particular stress hormones. One is called adrenaline. Now, adrenaline we know because that is really a type of stress called, as fight or flight.
Okay,
that's called acute stress.
I've heard that, but this is very informative.
And that is in terms of our fight or flight response, we all have done that. We all have fight or flight. And it's a normal part of life, and our body has adapted to that. It's okay to have those responses because we need them for our survival. I mean, if you have a truck coming at you and you need to swerve, your heart's jumping and you need to make snap decisions. And that's what that adrenaline helps us do, is to make those kinds of decisions quickly. And whatever it is, you see something and you need to make a decision right away, and your heart's pumping. That's the fight or flight response that we've adapted to, and that keeps us out of harm's way, and that's really important. So that's more of the adrenaline response.
Is there anything, when I think about this, because it's really important, I've heard that story about the woman that literally lifts up a car. Is that the connection?
That's adrenaline working.
Okay.
It can really make you do things. It makes you more alert. It makes you more aware of your surroundings. Kind of gives you kind of a tunnel vision in a way, so you can really see what's going on.
Wow.
And so it's really important for us to have that ability to do that.
It's amazing. I think there's probably many people that don't really know technically what this is. It sounds very, very technical, but it's actually, I guess maybe it's not so technical. It's pretty easy, right?
Well, there's a different kind of stress called chronic stress or long-term stress. And that's more of what we're addressing tonight, is this chronic stress. And that happens when we have this acute stress, the fight or flight, and our stress hormones go up, but they don't go down. See, normally you have a stress situation and then the hormones go down, and then we live our life. Things go back to normal eventually. They're supposed to.
Right.
But with chronic stress, it stays up at a high level, and that's what's really dangerous, because our body isn't adapted to that.
Yes.
And we have so much stress in this area. I mean, we have
Silicon Valley, absolutely.
Silicon Valley, we have job stress, we have housing stress, traffic issues, and students are under a tremendous amount of stress, plus the usual relationship stress.
On television?
Pardon?
How about guests on television?
Guests on television. And hosts on television. But that's more acute stress. That's more of the acute stress. But I'm talking about the long-term stress that you really can't get away from, and that's what needs to be managed on a long-term basis, and which can be managed well. And then when a person comes into our office, we do the evaluation. And stress has different causes. In chronic stress, it can be physical stress from a pain and inflammation. It can be hormonal stress from our hormones being imbalanced. It can be dietary stress, which is a big one from people eating poor diets. That causes stress too. Not eating healthy causes chronic stress on the body. And then you have emotional stress, which most of us are familiar with.
Yes. Too much chocolate?
Too much. Well, no, you can never have too much chocolate. Too much sugar. Too much sugar. Yes, that's a dietary stress. But chocolate, there's a special category for this.
Okay.
But I call chronic stress, an emotional type of chronic stress, I call it the bear that's not there.
The bear that's not there.
The bear that's not there.
I love it. Let me see this little bear.
Isn't that cute?
Oh, I think he's. Oh, I think
he's a sweet bear.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and this is a Bank of the West bear. They gave me this so I could do this in my presentations, and I think that's very nice.
Oh wow.
So the bear, because many times we have this idea of what's going on, and the bear gets really scary and gets bigger and bigger, and we get to this negative feedback loop. And a lot of times the bear just really isn't there. It's our perception of
no kidding.
Stress.
That's right.
That's important, and that's how we define it, how we see it. People can see stress differently in the same situation.
That's right.
So that's why I like calling it the bear that's not there, to know that, well, maybe the problem isn't as bad as as you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
For that.
I guess when I've been watching the news, I've been very involved with politics, and
that'll do it.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it really would. I've never really been watching the candidates, and this was a wonderful way to really get involved with that. So wow, this is what's going to happen to our country. I have no idea. What's going to happen with the storms that we have in different parts of the country. People losing their houses, trees falling down. Oh my gosh.
So we're subjected to stress all the time. And hopefully it's just short-term stress because, again, our body's adapted to it. It's just when we're subjected to it over and over and over again, that's when it becomes problematic, and that's when people need to seek out help. But one thing I'd like to talk about is when I get the test back, and that shows us a measure of a hormone called cortisol.
Cortisol.
Cortisol is a hormone that's also secreted by the adrenal glands. And we measure that, but we measure it 4 times the day. This is the pattern that we get back when we get the test. And cortisol wakes us up in the morning.
Oh, okay.
It's the hormone. So when you wake up, that's what wakes you up, is cortisol.
I thought it was the alarm. I thought it was my iPhone.
You might need an alarm too. But the cortisol is high in the morning. It's supposed to be high. This is a normal pattern of the cortisol. And it gradually decreases during the day so that we can go to sleep. And if your cortisol is too high because of stress, it's going to be difficult to go to sleep.
And what about things like caffeine, something like that? Does that...
People can be very sensitive to caffeine. Then they sometimes have to watch it. Some people don't. It's really, up to the individual with that.
Yes.
But I'd like to talk about the different stages of stress.
Go ahead.
Because we can check that too with this adrenal stress index test, which I just talked about. And these are the 3 types of stress.
I see. Interesting.
This is where we measure. Now, this is the normal area of cortisol level. And if it's too high in stage 1, we call this the alarm stage. Okay? That means that it's you have adrenaline, you have cortisol. It's called being stressed and wired. You've got lots of energy.
Yes.
And you can take things on, but it's not sustainable. If it doesn't go back down, if you don't release the stress, then your adrenal glands get overworked and they can't sustain that. And then it goes into stage 2, which is called adaptation. And so your hormones are going down even though you have the same amount of stress. This is called wired and tired.
Wired and tired.
Wired. It's like you had 10 cups of coffee and you want to go to sleep, but you can't. And it's like, it's not a fun place to be when you're wired and tired, okay? And then in the last stage, if you don't get help and keep going on your same track, you get to burnout, stage 3. And this is when their hormones are low. They can't produce enough hormones to wake you up, to get you going. And you're basically putting one foot in front of the other. And so this is a serious situation. A lot of people are there, but they just have to push themselves. They're taking stimulants to try to get themselves going. But again, these things can be treated. And it takes a while, especially if you're here, to treat. Like any disease, it takes a while to get your function back and to repair the body and to restore the body so it's naturally resilient, so you can be maybe in stage 1 and then go back. So you don't have to stay here and make it worse. So these are the stages of stress that I think is interesting people to know.
I'm just kind of curious, what about different types of drugs? Do they create problems with that?
Well, people, if they take drugs, they're going on borrowed time. If they use stimulants, trying to get them, it's like pushing a dead horse. You can only get so much out of that, and it's pushing your body further and further, creating even more stress. And I prefer more natural methods of helping to heal people because it's doable. It's definitely doable for that.
Yes, I understand. I understand. Yes. So give us more information. This is really interesting.
Well, one of the things I used to treat in my office, and I love these are herbs that are called adaptogens. The adaptogens are herbs that help us adapt to stress. And what's great about herbs is that these adaptogens are basically non-toxic. They don't hurt you. They're good for you. And these adaptogens, if you're high they bring you back down to normal. If you're too low, they help bring you up. And that's what's great about herbs. And another interesting fact about herbs is that they have different chemical components to them, so that they can help with different things like stress, and they can also help maybe with blood sugar. So they can help with lots of different things, and drugs can't do that because they have like one ingredient that does one thing. So herbs they're great. They can help normalize different body systems. So that's what I like about adaptogens, and I use them in my office. And I have, like, this is an herbal tonic that I use in the office that has different adaptogens in there.
I see.
And this is really great for people if they need really strong adrenal support. And there's different types of herbs that we use. I use a company called MediHerb because with herbs, it's real important to get good quality. Now, herbs are really safe, but you might be wasting your money if you don't get herbs that don't work. Standardization is really difficult with herbs because they're plants. They're all different.
Yes.
You know, they're not synthesized into one thing. They're herbs. So it depends on how they're grown, where they're grown, what kind of environment they're in, how they're harvested, how they are processed, and how they're manufactured into bottles and shipped. There's all these different things that can interfere with a potency. So you really have to be careful in terms of that, in terms of the herbs, because they might not work, and then you'd be disappointed. So I work with a company called MediHerb that has very good high quality standards with that. So I also use chiropractic in my office. And I'm a chiropractor. I see the benefits of it every day. I treat people, I get people out of pain really quickly, sometimes too quickly, because then they then they take off and think everything's fine. And sometimes it is. But I use what's called an Activator Method in my office, and it's an instrument that looks like this. And what it does, it has a mechanism in here that gives a short, quick thrust. And I can show you on this little demonstrator that it packs pretty much of a wallop. Okay, it's very small and it's very fast. So the physics of it actually has more force than if I were to adjust by hand. Although that works very well too. But this I like because I can be very precise about where I adjust. And I get out my little, this is a plastic spine. And so I can be very specific about where I adjust. If this isn't moving correctly, I can adjust that and create motion in there and loosen things up.
Interesting. That's so interesting.
And why this is good for stress is because when you're stressed, you're like kind of bound up, right? And things aren't working right because your body, your mind-body, it responds to that. And the thing is, the messages aren't getting to the brain correctly. They're staticky because it's getting kind of that staticky information if you're like this. Then the brain has to process it and make decisions. And making correct decisions is so important when you're under stress. And it's hard, but we need to make good decisions. And so getting that information to the brain and out is real important. And when you get adjusted, you can relax. Things are moving better. You get better nerve and energy supply. So the brain gets better information. So it gets better information to the rest of the body so it can function better. So that's why I like adjusting people, getting them aligned, because that helps with stress a lot. In Activator, I really like it. I've been doing it for 35 years. I'm advanced proficiency rated.
So just out of curiosity, who would, have you had that for a long time?
I've been using it for 35 years.
For 35 years. Who designed that anyway? It's
a Dr. Four out of Arizona. He still practices. He still teaches. He keeps going. And he has this organization called Activator Methods, where doctors get proficiency rated. We go to a class every year to keep up our rating and learn new things, how to treat things. So the Activator is a very good technique, and they were the first chiropractic technique to get a grant from the National Institutes of Health.
Interesting.
For research, because they're very into research. And they've done a lot just showing that the activator works, and it works really well. And it's very safe. It's tremendously safe.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I believe you.
Yes.
I believe you. Well, it's all. Now, what else do you have? I mean, you have amazing things. You excuse me. You mentioned herbs. You mentioned exercise, or did you mention?
I haven't exercised. I haven't mentioned it yet. But
Okay.
exercise. Now, why do you think exercise would be important in stress?
Oh, I would imagine.
Lots of things. But exercise, I mean, there's really no downside to exercise if you do it in moderation. Exercise is good for all kinds of things. But in stress particularly, because when you're in a fight or flight mode, what are you doing? You're either fighting or you're running away. You're doing something, your body's moving, right? You're moving. And so what that exercise does is it helps dissipate those stress hormones in our body.
Perfect.
The problem is when you're in chronic stress, you're generally sitting there. Like if you're at work and your boss is going, and you can't do anything. You know, you're sitting there and going, well, I can't fight and I can't run away. So you have to just sit there.
Right.
And that leads to lack of motion. And so these stress hormones just kind of keep circulating and cause damage. Now the cortisol it infects all of our body systems. It regulates inflammation. And that's important because now they're finding inflammation is a root cause of many of our chronic diseases.
Yes,
which could be from stress. It can affect our blood sugar, creates diabetes. It affects our mood. It affects our digestion. It affects our hormones. So this cortisol, particularly when it's in a chronic stress situation, has negative effects on our body. And so that's why it needs to be managed well because of that. And I could talk a little bit about diet in terms of that.
Well, we're running out of time here now.
Okay.
But I did want we haven't really covered something that I think is very important also, is that I have no idea anything about Colorful Journey of Success is all about success. And it's very important to talk about what was your motivation? I mean, where did this all come from? When you were a little girl, could you see yourself as so educated in this, or what?
Well, actually, it's because of my own health. When my first job in college was at a record store.
Oh, really?
The old kind of record store. And I had a slip and fall.
Oh, dear.
And so that's when I started developing back problems. And my parents, thankfully, were chiropractic patients. My dad installed carpeting. He loved it all his life. Chiropractic kept him moving. It kept him installing carpet until he died at age of 80.
No kidding.
He was still working. He was getting down there doing those, installations, and that was great for him. So chiropractic was a part of our health care.
I see.
And I'm so happy that it was. And so it was my back, and I still need to manage it with chiropractic care and diet and exercise and all those good things, and stress reduction.
Yes.
But stress, I've had good luck with being treated naturally with stress because I know that it works. People can be helped with all these things that I've talked about. The herbs, the nutrition, the exercise, the chiropractic, it all helps. And I work with other practitioners too. I work with therapists, I work with massage people and meditation teachers, because it's a big subject and people need different kinds of help.
Well, I wonder why I don't hear from so many other, I've heard some people say chiropractic is not really that valuable, but
and they are missing out.
It sounds like it. I'm very impressed with everything you've.
That's so unfortunate because it's so safe and it's so effective. I have what we call a better board in my office, and I write down when people have good results, and it fills up, and then I take a picture of it, and I start all over. I erase it, and I start again. And so my patients can see what things other people have had and got better, and I can see it, so I know that what I'm doing
Oh, fantastic.
too. So that's good feedback for
Yes.
me. But
Well,
it works
I
so
want
well.
you to know that Colorful Journey of Success is about successful people. And we have like about 2 minutes left. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, because this is a fantastic topic. Everyone has stress in their life at times, and sometimes more than they really should, right? So to start off the year, I think this is perfect. I think this is really perfect.
It
we should
is.
have you come back and talk more about, let's see, we didn't really talk that much about nutrition, but maybe we'll do another show on just strictly nutrition and exercise and things like that. I think that people, it's so fantastic.
And people should know about this. That's why I'm here, that's why I'm talking about it, because there are solutions to these problems that aren't toxic, that actually make you healthy.
Well, I want to say thank you very, very much, Dr. Joe. Oh, you in Menlo Park,
Menlo
35
Park.
years. Wow.
Downtown. I love it there. It's a wonderful community.
So I'm sure people will be interested in contacting you.
Thank you.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining Colorful Journey of Success. Wasn't she wonderful? And it was very informative. And I hope maybe you will look forward to maybe exploring if you haven't already. So thank you. I think that Colorful Journey of Success is about successful people. If you'd like to be interviewed, I'd love to interview you. Contact me, Claire Mullen, and we'll talk about what you would like to talk about. That's very important. Success, Colorful Journey of Success. Thank you so much. Bye for now.